All right, in this lesson, we're looking at the X and Y intercepts of the graphs. So let's look at this graph here. We have the x-axis and the y-axis. This part right here, this 2, is called the x-intercept. It is where the graph crosses the x-axis. And we can represent that as an ordered pair, 2, 0. Similarly, for the y-axis, where the graph crosses the y-axis is called the y-intercept. And we can write that as an ordered pair as well. This is crosses the y-axis at -4, and so this would be 0, -4. So make sure you're able to do that. Identify the x and y intercepts when given a graph. Okay, ultimately we want to be able to graph equations using the x and y intercepts, particularly when they're set up this way with the x and y on the same side. So we have 4x minus 2y equals 12. I'm going to graph this by finding the x and y intercepts. So let's begin by plugging a 0 in for the x, find out what y is, plug a 0 in for y, find out what x is. I mean, graphically, right, that's what the x and y intercepts are. If we go back to this one, notice that that's sort of by definition what the x-intercept means. The x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis right here, and what's the value of y there? Well, it's 0. And similarly for the y-intercept. All right, really make a mental note there that on the y-intercept, x is 0. On the x-intercept, y is 0. And why that makes sense. Okay, so we're going to plug the 0 in for x. So we're going to have 4 times 0 minus 2y equals 12, and then just solve for that variable. So -2y is 12. Divide by -2, you get y is -6. And we can plot that on the graph. Pause the video here, see if you can do the x-intercept. Welcome back. So the x-intercept's when y is 0, pop a y in, and you'll get 4x minus 2 times 0 is 12. 4x equals 12. Divide by 4, and you get x equals 3. And we can graph 3 right there. And then just draw a line right through those. So another way to do this is sort of informally, without actually plugging those values in and solving. Let me show you. So we have the 0 for x, 0 for y, but we just kind of use our finger to cover that value up. When x is 0, that term goes away. Did that finger kind of freak you out? I know it did. So we cover that term up with your finger. You have -2y equals 12. You can do that in your head, right? Divide by -2, you get y is -6. Okay, and there's our point. Similarly, when we have 4x minus 2y equals 12, are you ready for it? What are we going to cover up this time? The 2y. So we cover up that -2y. We have 4x equals 12. X is going to be what? 3. So we get x equals 3, and we get a 3. And draw our line. I'll be honest, that's the way I do them. So I wanted to share that little bit of information with you. Okay, try this one. Graph -5x plus 2y equals 8 by finding the x and the y-intercepts. Pause the video here, see if you can do this one. Welcome back. All right, so we have x is 0, y is 0. -5x plus 2y equals 8. We're going to cover up that -5x, and we get 2y is 8, so y is 4. Plot that point up there. That y equals 4. Similar for -5x plus 2y equals 8. Just going to cover up the 2y term because y is 0. That term's no longer there. Divide by -5, and you get -8/5. And that's not quite -2. And plot that point there. We're just kind of approximating, and then draw your line. Okay, a couple of equations that just have one of the variables. So we have y equals -4. Let's think about what this means. So y is -4. So that means I've got a point here, but it's -4 for every value of x. So all these guys in here. But not only those, but also the ones in between. And so it just ends up being a nice line right through y equals -4. Similar for x equals 2. So for x equals 2, for every value of y, all along here, x is 2. I probably have these drawn a little more professionally. There we go, and there we go. Okay, so if we have y equals some constant, it's always going to be a horizontal line through that constant. If we have x equals a constant, it's going to be a vertical line. You need to remember that. So if we just have an equation with one variable, we just need to solve for that one variable. So negative 3x equals 12. I need to solve for that. I'll divide by negative 3, and I'll get x equals negative 4. So can you visualize what kind of line that's going to be? Good. We get it? I think so. So that's the line x equals negative 4. And we'll sometimes write it right up there.